quiz. There's actually question 7 from the practice exam, which we're taking today, right? Yeah, today's practice exam day, huh? Okay, so we're supposed to graph that thing. How? There's nothing on the screen. Oh, I didn't plug in the thing. I always forget one or two pieces of technology. You're right. Plug that in. So, what do we do to graph? Yeah, exactly. It's all about y alone, isn't it? That should take care of it, I think. We good? All technology in order? Maybe? This down, this off. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, get y alone, right? It's all about get y alone. Y is saying I want to be alone. So first step to get y alone, get rid of that x, huh? And that, by subtracting x, boom. Good to there so far. Last step to get y. Y is not quite alone. Huh? What's the only thing that y has with it that we need to get rid of? That negative sign, huh? And how do we always get rid of a negative sign? Divide by -1, yeah. Right on through like that. And what happens when we divide by a negative? Flips that sign. Like that. Yep. So, everybody good with that? And then here, 2 negatives. Positive. And here, 2 negatives. Positive.
And this is going to be on the test tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Practice test today. This literally is one of the practice test problems from today. But yeah, same exact thing, test tomorrow. That's true. Yeah, tomorrow is our test, our second test of the week. So is everybody good with those steps right there? Those are the crucial ones, you know? So whenever we have a minus on something that we want to get rid of, we have to divide through all three by -1, and that turns the symbol the other way. That's the main thing being tested there. So, yeah, then the 2 negatives make positive, the 2 negatives make positive, huh? Like that? Okay, so now we're ready to graph. We got the y alone. So let's go to the graph. So when I go to the graph, where do I start? Yeah, start at whatever number's off to the right, because that's the y-intercept. That's on the y-axis, huh? Over here's the x-axis. So, yeah, it's +2, so that's up 2. Like that. So there's our first dot. We just need one more dot, and then we'll connect the 2 dots. So how do we get that one more dot? Yeah, the slope is 1/1. Yeah, right? Because 1/1 is just 1, and 1 times x is just x. Nothing too amazing there. So 1/1. So this is rise over run, huh? So that's up 1, over 1. So I'm going to go up 1 and over 1. Like that. So there's the second dot. Okay, now am I going to make a dotted line or solid line? Dotted. And that's because there's no solid bar. If it was less than or equal to, then that'd be a solid line, huh? The equals, remember there's the three zones. There's the equals, and this is the above, right, because of the slant, and this is the below. Everybody with me? There's 3 zones that we could possibly give as answer zones, right? There's the stuff right on the line, which is the equal stuff. There's the stuff above the line, which is greater, and below the line, which is less. What are they asking for? Just the lesser stuff. They don't want the equals. If they wanted the equals, if they had the equals bar, then I would give them the solid line. But they don't want the equals, huh? They just want the lesser stuff. So I go, okay, let me erase the great equal thing. So all they want is the lesser is below. They want this, huh? Like that. They want the stuff below. And there we go. Make sense? Are we good on that? And that was that option B?
Yeah.
Let's put this back up for a second. Don't turn it on even, huh? Option. Yeah. That line goes up to the right with shading down below. That is the same as that. There it is. Questions on doing that one? Julio?
I just keep getting kind of lost on which side to shade.
Yeah.
So are we looking at the Y?
Yes.
Y less than, and so you think less than, and then you go.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly right. Exactly. And it's always the Y on the last step, huh? Not like up here in the beginning or something.
Yeah.
Because that would be the other way. We go oh, greater. But that it's not in the beginning. It's at the very end when the Y is alone. You're exactly right. Yeah, you don't even have to look at any of the X stuff. I like the way Julio's saying it. He's exactly right. I'm not even looking at any of this anymore at all. He's totally right. It's just the Y and the symbol, huh? And you're just asking, is the Y on the narrow side of the symbol or the wide mouth side of the symbol? The Y is on the narrow side, so Y is less. Lesser stuff below. Just like that. Yeah, even if the Y was over here on the right side, what if I had Y like that? What if I had Y on the right side? What would that mean? Whatever, blah, 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 blah over here. Same thing, that's Y less. That's still Y is still on the narrow side, huh? Good. Because some people, some of you guys are getting it right on. Some people that don't understand the symbols, where they think whenever it's that way, that always means greater. But no, it depends which side of it you're on, huh? That's what they're not understanding, but you guys have got it. Y is on the narrow side, Y is less. Yep. All right, good. That looks like you know how to do these for sure. Okay. Was the homework okay? What did we have last night? We had those 2 sections of chapter 4, huh? And the 5-1. Yeah. 5-1? Yeah. On that. Is that okay? Not too bad? What was it? Chapter 4 was it was the end of the graphing. It was graphing these with the lines, and then it was slopes or something like that. I can't remember. Oh, it was graphing the shading ones.
And the factoring.
Oh, and then the factoring in chapter 5. All right, so factoring. So Math 201's a coming, and then we'll do. There's a lot of overlap. You'll start Math 201. You'll be like, I've done all this stuff. About 30% of the class, maybe 40, is overlap. A lot of overlap.
That's what my friend was telling me. He's taking it and he said it's almost the same thing.
Yeah, and then we just probably about half of it's new, probably, and half of it's repeat. Yeah, with just a little more mess. We'll do the same stuff. We'll throw a little more mess in the end, and the last half of the class is all new.
Is 103 the same way?
Yeah, and then 103 will overlap with 201, about half. Yeah, same kind of thing. There's just a lot of overlap. Because we're learning a language, you need to repeat and practice, yeah. All right, so factoring. What is factoring? Well, do you guys know, like if you have 5 times x plus 3? I know you know. How do you multiply those? Yeah, just boom and a boom, right? And you get 5x plus 15. It's called distributing, multiplying. Right, totally. Well, now we want to do that backwards. You know what factoring is? Factoring is unmultiplying. So in other words, they'll start with the 5x plus 15, for example. That's what they're doing here. They're starting with something that's already been multiplied out, and they're asking you, hey, what was it? What was out here, and what was here, and what was here with the plus sign, before it was multiplied. They ask you to multiply it backwards or unmultiply it. That's what factoring really means. It's like give it to us before it was multiplied. That's what it means to factor. Seems like a weird thing, but it turns out it's actually very useful, very, very. I mean, this is something you do all the way through the next 2 courses because it's helpful to do other more advanced things. So how would you do that? How would you take this, which is kind of like the answer, and work it backwards to what it was before it was multiplied? Meaning, how do we find these 3 numbers? Yeah, so what goes out here first? 5. 5 goes out. Now, how do you know 5? I mean, we know because we're looking right here, but what if we hadn't just done it? How would we know 5? Well, yeah.
And then see if it's factors.
Yeah, 5 goes into 5 and 15. I'll do another one. I'll show you. So yeah, so 5 goes out here. Now, how do you know what goes in the parentheses now?
You divided by 5, so the x is left over and 3 is left over.
Yeah, exactly. You're just kind of thinking to yourself that, well, 5 times what will go back to 5x, huh? That'd be x, bless you. And 5 times what will go back to 15? 3. You just kind of think it backwards. You just think what would multiply, huh? Does that make sense? All right. So let's try this one. So here's one that, there were parentheses, some number in the front, two things on the inside. They're asking us, what was it? What was it in the front? And what was it in the inside that multiplied and became that 3y plus 42 kind of thing? How could we do that? How could we figure out? How do we know what goes in the front? First off, what goes right there? That's going to be the 3, huh? It's going to be the 3. Like that. Good so far? Now, 3 times what will go back to 3y? The y. And then the back, 3 times what will go back to the 42? Yeah, if you're not sure, take that 42 and divide it. Yeah, divide it by the 3. And you will get the 14. Because that's how you find out what multiplies, right? You divide. That's it, we're done. They just want us to find out what was it before it was multiplied. We unmultiplied it. Called factoring. Good so far?
So you will put that equation in, the 3
Mhm.
y plus 14.
Yep, that's exactly what they want you to type in. Yep, 3 parentheses y plus 14. That's exactly what they want. They want it before it was multiplied. That's called factoring. Good, shall we try another one? Okay, so 6m squared n cubed plus 48m squared n squared. So that's a 2 there. So, I'm going to do the same thing, parentheses, something in the front, plus sign in the middle, something in the front, something on the inside. So give it a try. So you take the lowest m power and the lowest n power, lowest of each to the front. So what goes into 6 and 48? 6 does. 6 does. And then what power of m? 2. What power of n? 2. That makes sense? Lowest m, lowest n. And now what goes 6 times what here? What are we going to put in this first one? N to the first, that's all. Right? Because that one, or just regular n, right? And then how about at the back? 6 times 8, and that's it, huh? Nothing on the letters. Just n plus 8 in those parentheses. All is well? All right, so we have 40 p squared minus 45p plus 40. Okay. So this is going to be like one big old parenthesis, something in the front, 3 things on the inside with a minus and a plus in between. Makes sense? And so you got to figure out a number. What number, use your calculator if you need to, goes into 40, 45, and 40. What's the biggest number? So what is the biggest number? 5, huh? 5 is the biggest number, right? You just calculate if you're rusty on some of those. 5 is the biggest number that goes into 40 and 45, huh? They're all divisible by 5. So I put a 5 in the front. Now, do I put any p's? No, because the last one has no p at all, right? So the lowest power of p I'm seeing is no p. Huh? You with me? The lowest is none. So just the 5 goes in the front. That's the only thing they all have in common. 5 goes into all of them. But they do not all have in common a letter, because the last one doesn't have a letter. The 40 doesn't have a letter. Okay, so now, what goes to the inside? Whatever works. 5 times what will go back to 40p squared? 8p squared, huh? Good. And then 5 times what will go back to 45p? 9p. 5 times 9 is 45. And 5 times what? 8 goes back to 40, and we're done. Is that good? So it's the same thing, huh? There's just 3 of them now. Just putting what's in common in the front. All right. Okay, so we have 8x to the 8th minus 72x to the 7th plus 56x to the 6th. So 1 big old parenthesis, something in the front, 3 things on the inside. Here's your calculator, if you don't remember all those particular times table numbers. Okay, so what goes into 8, 72, and 56? 8, huh? 8. And what's the lowest power up there? 6. Good so far? All right. Now, what's going to multiply? 8x to the 6 times what will go back to 8x to the 8th? x2, right? The powers have to add. We don't need any numbers in the front. We already have the 8. And then 8x6 times what will go back? 9x to the 1, or just x, because the powers will add, huh? Good there. And then 8x to 6 times what? Just the 7, and we don't need any x's at all. There we go. Is that good? So all of this is greatest common factor, GCF. We're taking out the greatest common factor. All right. (8x minus 28). Okay, so same thing, like parentheses, something in the front. This time we have like a minus sign in the middle. So what goes in the front? So you want to ask it, and this time, could I put the 8 in the front this time? No, the 8 won't work this time. So it's not just always that number in the front. Why? Why won't the 8? You think, well, this will work. Just put an x there, and then, well, see, 8 times what would be 28? Nothing. See how that doesn't work? Everybody see we can't do the 8 because there's 8 times Nothing is 28. So we can't, it's not just always the number that's in the front of the x. That won't like automatically always work. Well, then what will? How do you know what to put in here?
Greatest common factor.
Yeah, it's called the GCF. Remember us doing the GCF yesterday? We were headed this way. GCF meaning you look at the 8 and you look at the 28 and you say, what goes into both of them? What numbers divide evenly into the 8 and the 28? Well, there's actually a couple numbers. 2 goes into 8 and 28, and 4 goes into 8 and 28. And of course, 1 goes into everything. So there's actually 1, 2, and 4. All those numbers go evenly into 8 and 28, don't they? So which one do you want to use, 1, 2, or 4?
4.
Yeah, the greatest common. That's what the G stands for. The greatest common factor, right? You have 1, 2, and 4. Both 8 and 28 are divisible by 1, 2, and 4, aren't they? So you put the greatest number. 8 doesn't work, right? 28 is not divisible by 8, so that's why we can't put 8. We just put the 4. You put the most they have in common, the biggest thing that goes into both of them. Good. Now, okay, so what goes 4? Now 4 times x, that's not going to work anymore. That won't go. It's supposed to go back to 8x, right? And that's not going to work. So what do we need? 2x. Good so far? 4 times 2x. And then 4 times what? We'll go back to 28. 7. There we go. That's the right answer. Does that make sense then? So what do we do again? So we put in the front the biggest thing that goes into 8 and 28, which is 4. And then put on the inside whatever works, huh? Whatever would multiply. 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times 7 is 28. Like so. Questions? We good with that? We're factoring. We're unmultiplying. Okay. X cubed plus 3x squared. I want to factor that. So I want to put in the front what goes into both those. So now we're talking letters. Remember what we learned about the GCF for letters with powers? What do? You take the lowest power. So I look at the 3 and I look at the 2, and in the front of the parentheses I put the lower one, the 2. Does that make sense? Why? Why the lower? I thought we're taking the greatest common factor. That is the greatest common factor. The lower is the greatest common factor. Sounds like I'm just making stuff up. I'm a politician talking out of two sides of my mouth there. Is that true? It actually is. Think with me for a second. We have x2 and x3, right? What if I said, hey, you two x's, do you both have one x at least in common? They go, yeah. Do you both have 2 x's in common? Yeah. Do you both have 3 x's in common? No. So what was the greatest one they had in common? 2, the lower number. You see, the lower number is the most they both have, right? The lower number is the greatest amount in common, isn't it? So that's why we just grab the lowest one, because that's the most they have in common. All right, so we just put the lower one in the front. Okay, and now what goes on the inside? Well, whatever works, huh? Yeah, put a plus in the middle. You got 2 things here. X squared times what? X squared times what? X squared times x, because that's a 1 power and those will add. You just make regular x. You don't need to show the 1. They're invisibly always there. And then x squared times 3. And that's it. Making sense? So we're unmultiplying things, aren't we? We're kind of backwards multiplying. We're finding out what they were before they were multiplied. All right, you stop me if you want to talk more about it. I'll keep. All right, z to the 5th minus 8z cubed. All right, what goes in to both those? So go ahead and do the parentheses and do something in the front and then two things on the inside with the minus sign. All right, are we good? What do you put in the front? Yeah, the lower of the two powers, huh? Because that's the most they have in common. That's the most they both have. Now, how do we know what goes in the inside? Well, whatever works. Z cubed times what will go back to z to the 5th? Yeah, the powers add, huh? And then z cubed times 8. And there we go. Is that good? Okay. Okay, so we have 6a squared plus 3a. So unmultiply that one. So what do they have in common? And then no, first off, there's the number thing, and then there's the letter thing, huh? So what number goes into 3 and 6? 3, right? 3 goes into 3 and 6. That good so far? So that's the common number. And now, what do you do for the letters? Take the lower one, huh? So for the letters, we always take the lower. So 3a. 3a is the GCF. It's the most they have in common. Is that good? Everybody see how I'm doing that? So you just pick what number goes into 6 and 3? 3. And then when it comes to the letters with the powers, you take the lower one. Because that's what they have in common. Good. Okay, now, what goes on the inside? Whatever works. 3a times what will go back to 6a squared. Now, remember how multiplying works. When you multiply two number letter things, out front numbers multiply, powers add. Remember that? Out front numbers multiply, powers add. So 3 times 2, and then a1, a1. Invisible ones. Goes back to 2. Everybody good so far? Right? This times this will go back to that, won't it? Because out front numbers will multiply, powers will add. And now, 3a times what will go back to 3a? Just a big old 1. Does that make sense? 3a times 1 is 3a. And we're done there.
Because if you multiply times 1a will be 1a squared, right?
So Jose, you're saying A times 1A, like what is that? Oh,
Yeah.
I see, if you put an A there.
Yeah.
Good job, exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, Jose's question is excellent, his conclusion is correct. Because if I put an A there, good, I'm glad you brought that up, because I forgot, a lot of people tend to do that first. Yeah, because that's really a 1, and that'll go back to 2, which is not what was originally there. Exactly, that's why we don't have an A there, exactly. We just have the 1, exactly right. That good? Making some sense? So this is a super important stuff. You want to get real comfortable with, you know how the thing we did yesterday, that one thing I kept saying, who cares about this? We're never going to do this again. Well, this we'll do like tons, like all through the next 2 classes, everything. In fact, pretty soon it'll like always begin with factoring. Factoring's everywhere. So this is something you want to get really, really, and you will. You know, you'll see it so much, you know, you'll be able to do it really, really easily. All right, so get my little thing there. 8t to the 5th plus 2t. So find what number goes into 2 and 8, and then take the lower of the 2 powers. Okay, so what? Gonna do the big old parenthesis thing, plus sign in the middle, something here and something here and here. So what number goes into 2 and 8? 2. Just 2. And then what power on the t? Got t5, t1. Which am I gonna take? T1 or just regular t. You don't have to show the 1. Good so far? 2 goes into 2 and 8. Take the lower power. Now 2t to the 1 times what? We'll go back to this. Out front numbers multiply, powers add. You need 4. 2 times 4 is 8. T to the 4, so the 1 and the 4 can add and be 5. Good? And then 2t to the 1 times what to go back to 2t to the 1? Just a big old 1, And not a t, right? If we put a t, that would be wrong because that would have a 1 power and that'd go back to 2, and that's not right. So it's just 1, regular 1. That's it. There we go. Is that good? Everybody see that if I distributed that, it would, if I multiplied that, it would go back, wouldn't it? So it's right. We unmultiplied it correctly. Good? All right. So there we go. Try that. Make it right here. 56 y to the 8th minus 7 y to the 3rd. So what goes into 7 and 56? Yeah. If you're a little rusty on some of these, just use your calculator. So 7 goes into both of those. And then what power on the y do we put? The lower one. Good. And now we ask ourselves, 7y to the third times what? We'll go back to 56y to the eighth. We'll do out front numbers multiply, powers add. 7 times 8. Just use your calculator if you're a little rusty. You could just divide this by 7, and you would find the 8, right, is what you need to multiply. 7 times 8, and the power's got to be 5, so it'd add to go back to be 8, right? 3 and 5 add to be 8. Now, what goes at the very back? 7y to the third times what? Well, that's just 1 again. We're getting a lot of 1s in the back, huh? There we go. All right. You stop me if you want. All right, so 20x to the 5th plus 8x to the 4th. Try that one.
What does it mean by removing the greatest common factor?
Oh, yeah. They mean put it in the front.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what they mean by remove. Remove it to the front. Yeah. Never noticed those words before, Jeremy.
Hey, they spelled out the title correct.
Hey, they're getting better, huh?
If you add a negative power to a positive power, would it subtract?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, what goes into 20 and into 8? What's the biggest thing? Yeah. 4 is the biggest thing, huh? 2 goes in also, but we want the biggest, huh? 4. 4 goes into 20 and 8. Okay, now what power do I put in the front? X to the 4. You take the lower of the 2, huh? Good to there? All right, what goes on the inside? Whatever's going to work. 4x to the 4th times what would be 20x to the 5th? 5x to the 1, or just regular x, because out front numbers multiply. 4 times 20, powers add. And over here, it's going to be just 2. No x at all, huh? Sometimes a common mistake is I'll see people put an x here like this. Why would that be wrong to put an x? Because that would be 4 and 1 to make 5, which is it's not. So just a 2 there. Good on that? Questions on that? All right. So 25b squared minus 5b to the 4th. So parenthesis, something in the front. So what goes in 25 and 5? 5 does. And then what power do I put out front? B squared, the lower power. All right, 5b squared times just 5, huh? No b at all there. And then 5b squared times b2 there because you want the 2 and the 2 to add me 4, huh? Good. All right. Okay, try that one. 2x to the 6th y squared plus 4 x to the 4th y to the 4th plus 4xy squared. So what goes into all those?
2.
2. So put a 2 in the front. And then what's the lowest power on x? Just regular x. This one right here, just regular x, huh? What's the lowest power on y? Y squared. So there we go. Big old parenthesis. 3 things on the inside. Like that. That's the GCF on the front, right? That's the greatest amount they have in common. So now, how do we know what goes on the inside? Whatever works. 2xy squared times what would go back? X to the 5, because the 1 and the 5 will add to be 6, huh? Good so far? And then the next one, 2 times 2 would be 4, x to the 3rd y squared, right? Because the powers will add to go back. And the last one will be what? Just 2? Yeah, just 2, huh? Just 2. There we go. Questions on that? Are we all good? All right. All the signs on the inside. Okay. So, they have us. We're going to take negative 8x plus 56. Okay, same kind of thing, parentheses, something in the front, 2 things on the inside. But first off, let me just do this one with you. What goes into 8 and 56? 8, right? 8. But when the front is negative, you take it out negative. So let me write a note on that. When front is negative, meaning right there, factor out negative also, meaning right there. Other than that, and then I'll say all signs inside switch. That's what ends up happening. All the signs inside will switch. I'm not going to take any x out, right? Because they don't. The 56, the second one, has no x at all. So they have no x in common. So I'm not going to take any x to the front. So here we go. Negative 8 times what would go back to negative 8x? Well, just x, huh? Yeah. Exactly. And then ask yourself, negative 8 times what will go back to positive 56? Negative times what is positive? Times negative 7, right? Negative times negative is positive. Do you see how it switched both the signs? See how the negative here became positive, the positive here became negative? That's what I mean by it switches, all the signs switch. All the signs inside the parentheses, switch from what they were. When does that happen? When you put a negative in the front. That forces the signs inside to go the other way, to switch. Like that. That makes sense? So when you have a negative in the front of the thing you're trying to factor, put a negative in the front and all the signs inside will switch. All right, so that'll come up a fair bit. Okay, so minus 5r to the third plus 10r minus 20. All right, factor that one. So what goes into 5 and 10 and 20? 5. Do they all have an R? No. It's going to be negative 5, though. Why do I put negative 5? Because the one in the front is negative. It's all about the one in the front, huh? The one in the front, I don't care about the other negatives, just the one in the front. The one in the front's negative, take out negative. And again, they don't all have an R, so I can't take out an R. Now what's going to happen on the inside? All the signs are going to switch. Here we go. Minus 5 times 3 things here. Minus 5 times what? We'll go back to minus 5 R cubed. Just regular R cubed. And minus 5 times what? We'll go back to plus 10R. Minus 2R's. Everybody see minus? Because minus times minus will go back to plus 10, huh? Right? See how the sign switched, and now minus 5 times what? Positive. Yeah, it switches. Plus 4. Minus 5 times plus 4 would be minus 20, huh? There it is. Good on that? We getting those right?
Yes, sir.
Factor not too bad. Okay, so we have A parentheses C minus 5 plus T parentheses C minus 5. Okay. So, what are we going to do with these? Well, we're factoring. So we're not going to distribute. We're not going to multiply, right? Because they're asking us to factor. So factor means unmultiply. Don't multiply. So I'm not going to take that C and go boom, boom. You know, I'm not going to do that, even though that's legal. You know, it's just not where I'm headed. They're telling me to factor. They don't want me to multiply. They want me to factor. So, okay, what am I going to do? So let me help you by showing you this. What if over here on the side, let me just make it a different. What if somebody gave me AW plus TW and they asked me to factor, which means, you know, unmultiply. You know, do the parentheses, find out what was out here, and two things in the middle. What would I do? What would be in the front? Let's just do this problem and say there'd be a W because they both have a W, huh? W's in common, right? And what would be on the inside? W times A and W times T, and we'd be done, right? Be just as easy as that, right? You with me on that? If they both had a T, right? Okay. Now, what if instead of that problem, what if somebody gave you AX plus TX? Or actually, let's make it a C. AC plus TC. Yeah, well, and it asks you to factor. What would you put in the front? What do they both have in common, right? They both have a C. What goes on the inside? A plus T. Because in a sense, you're removing the common part, putting it in the front, and then that just leaves the A and the T. I don't know if you think about it that way, right? It's the same kind of thing, right? You're just yanking the part they have in common, put it in the front, right? But now that's exactly what I do with a test. On test day, well, what you do, you turn them all into me. You all have a test in common, then you all turn them into me, right? That's kind of like what we're doing. There's student A with his test, student T with his test, and then all the tests are in a pile in the front, and there's the students now without their tests. That works for you. Okay. Now, what if instead of just C, they had like a little parenthesis C? Well, so what? You put a parenthesis C in the front, right? Whatever they have in common, you just put it in the front. What if instead of parentheses C, they had C minus 5 in the parentheses? Well, so what? You'd put the parentheses C minus 5 in the front. We just solved this problem. Do you see that? You see that's all it is, really? It's just, the parentheses are just big, but they're not, they're just kind of, they can fool you, but really you just look at this and you go, look, these are two terms. And by the way, that is how you want to look at it. You want to start thinking this way now. Terms. I'm not into the math words, any other math words really, other than this. Terms. This will be helpful for you. Terms are things separated by pluses and minuses outside of parentheses. So what I mean is that's how you want to look. You want to go like that. That's how you want to visualize that problem. You want to look and go, okay, two separate terms. What do they both have? Yeah, they both have a parenthesis C minus 5, don't they? They both have a parenthesis C minus 5. So you put parenthesis C minus 5 in the front, because that's what's in common. You start a new set of parentheses, and then you remove it, because the common part, the exam has been taken from all the students into a pile in the front, and now you have the students without their exams. Good? Are we happy? That's the answer. We're done. So you're treating this is the common part, huh? That's the part they both had in common, was that parenthesis C minus 5.
So it's not always necessarily the one out in front.
Well, the one out in the front is what's in common. Oh, you mean,
Yeah, before we've taken that.
oh, the one that's on the left side.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, don't worry, remember, this is totally switchable. So, yeah, don't let left, right throw you off. Yeah, right, yeah, so the left, right thing doesn't matter at all. Just like the order of multiplying 2 times 3 is not any different than 3 times 2. It's 6 either way you do it. This could be thought of as C minus 5 times A, and it's exactly the same thing. Yeah, so nothing magical about left side, right side. It's just what they have in common. You just look and say, these two, what do they both have similar? Same, common. Parenthesis C minus 5, whether it's on the right or the left.
Does it have to be in parentheses as well?
It does, yeah. You've got to keep that C minus 5 in the parentheses.
What if we don't? It will do the same thing, right?
Good question. Let me ask you this. To answer Jose's question, Jose's saying, wouldn't it be the same to do it like that, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. To answer that, think about this with me for a second. What if I went 2 minus 5? Let me just do numbers. 1 plus 3 or whatever.
Oh, no, 'cause you know, 5.
Who's going to do the multiplying?
5.
Only the 5. Whereas if I go like this,
Right.
the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a great way because I learned to put numbers in whenever I had questions in algebra. That's helpful. Just stick in numbers. We think better with numbers, don't we, than letters. And so it'll help you. Yeah, good question. Got to have the parentheses. Makes a difference. Yep, there we go. All right. Okay. R, parentheses R minus 3 plus 6, parentheses R minus 3. Try that one. So whatever they have in common goes in the front. So you look at these two terms. What do they both have? Parentheses R minus 3, huh? So they both have a parentheses R minus 3. Look at it like a student R has a big exam in his hand, parentheses R minus 3, and student 6 has a big exam in her hand, a parentheses R minus 3. Right? And now you're going to remove it, and put the exams in the front. New set of parentheses. R minus 3 times what? Well, just R. And R minus 3 times what? Well, just 6. Would go back to this and back to that, huh? And there we are. We're done. Yeah, Jeremy.
You said it doesn't matter what order, like what parentheses goes in front.
Oh, yeah. Like you mean if you put the R plus 6 first and then the R minus 3? You're right. Same answer. Either way. I'll just say or. Yeah, either way. You're told you can always swap the entire parentheses. How do you know that? Because those are just two things multiplied. You can always change the order of multiplication.
It's funny, it was called number 19.
Yeah?
I did the right answer, but it was wrong because I had them flipped.
The Math Excel said wrong?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's the exact same answer, but I had
I'll come check.
the first one.
Let's try. There we go. A minus 2 plus 9. That's a 9 there. A minus 2. Try that one. Oh, this is that silly little thing. I see.
picky.
Okay, so there's the two terms, right? What do they both have? Parentheses a minus 2. Parentheses a minus 2. So you say, all right, put it in the front, new set of parentheses, remove it, right? Because it's been put to the front. Taking the common part to the front. What does that leave? A minus 2 times regular A and A minus 2 times 9 would go back. And we're done. Is that good? Any questions I can answer? Is it all well? No problem. All right. How about this one? We all okay? Because we're going to ramp it up. We're always building to the next thing, so I want to make sure this stage is okay.
If you said to put numbers in where the A's are for it to make sense to you. So if you put a 2 in there, the whole thing comes out to A equaling 0, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, 2 will just make, because that'll make that part 0 and that part 0. Yep.
Okay.
So do another number if you want to make more sense out of it, like a 3.
Okay. Okay, got it.
All right, so let's try. Let's try this one. So now, SQ plus SZ plus FQ plus FZ. 4 terms. So what are we going to do with 4 terms? This is the first time we've had this many, huh? 4 terms. What are we going to do with 4 terms? Well, what I'm going to suggest when you have 4 terms is to do a 2-2 split. Because first off, maybe before we do that, I should mention, do you notice that there's nothing in common to all 4? You know what I mean? Everybody see that? Like, do all 4 of them have an S? No, not the back 2. Do all 4 of them have a Q? No, not a couple of them. Do all 4 of them have a Z? No. Do all 4 of them have a no? There's nothing that all 4 of them have in common, is there? Nothing in common to all 4. So instead of dealing with all 4 at once, you got to do a 2-2 thing. So let me write that. When 4 terms do a 2-2 split. So do a 2-2 split. We call that grouping. It's called grouping. That's what we're referring to up here, grouping. So we're getting near the end of the section. So we're doing the last thing, factoring out common factors and grouping. So here we are. We're to the grouping. So you want to make them into 2 groups, 2 separate groups. Now, do the first 2 all by themselves. What if the whole problem, just pretend the whole problem was just those first 2. What do those first 2, just those first 2, have in common? Yeah, they have an S in common. Is that good? And then remove it, bring down the leftovers, Q plus Z, huh? That's correct, isn't it? That S times Q and S times Z would go back to SQ plus SZ, huh? Good. Now, the plus sign in the middle is super important. Got to keep that. Can't lose that. See, a lot of people lose that and it messes up their work. That's still between the 2 groups. Very, very important. Okay. Now, the back 2, what do they have in common? Take out the F. So just those 2 have F. All 4 didn't have an F, but just the back 2 have an F, huh? So I can do that for just the back 2. Now, remove it, bring down the leftovers, huh? What does that leave? Q plus Z. That good? If I was to take that F and multiply, it would go back, wouldn't it? Good so far? Now, we can't stop here. Why not? It's not factored. It's not factored. What am I talking about? If you guys know how to factor numbers? Factoring numbers means to break them down, like 10 is 2 times 5, right? That's factoring the 10. That's finding out what it was before it was multiplied, right? Isn't that what factoring is? Unmultiplying it. So take 10 and unmultiply it, 2 times 5, right? That's called factoring. To unmultiply is to factor. What if somebody said, yeah, no, but 10 is 3 plus 7. Well, yes, it is 3 plus 7, but that's not factoring. Writing it as added is not factoring, is writing it as times. That's factoring. That's why this is not yet done. It's not yet done. Why not? Because it's not written as things timed. It's one big thing added to another thing. This guy's a problem. That plus sign outside of parentheses is a big problem. We can't have that. When we're done, all the plus and minuses are contained. Let's look back. See where the plus and minuses are? In the parentheses, huh? It's like horses, right? I have 2 daughters that they love horses, and it's been a very challenging part of my life because horses are crazy expensive and difficult in every way, shape, and form. So anyway, it's been a challenge. We actually got rid of 1 horse. Actually, two? Yeah, we just got rid of 2 horses. I'm so happy. We're down to 1 little horse. Well, no, not little, but anyway. So, I know nothing about I've literally never been on one, but my daughters have, I've been around them, and I remember one time Lizzie handed me the rein. She had to go do something with something in the barn thing and come back. We don't have property. We just board them on other people's places. Anyway, I was holding the horse, and the crazy thing bucked its head up and pulled the rope away, and the little gate was open, and it just stepped out the gate, and off it went. Lizzie came running back, and she said, "Dad, where's the horse?" And I went, "Well, the crazy thing bucked its head and pulled the rope. And, Dad, you let it go out the gate?" I'm like, "I don't control that crazy big old 1,000-pound animal. What do you mean?" So I learned that day it's not good to let him out of the corral, right? The horses. So that's my point. When you're done, see how this guy is a loose horse here? I'm just trying to tell that story to help you remember. Pluses and minuses are like horses. They need to be contained. In my opinion, that's true for all animals. I mean, I like them and everything, but just not I have 2 dogs, a cat, like I said. I used to have 3 horses. I would have no animals if it was my, but I've got a wife and daughters that love animals. So anyway, animals should be contained, in my opinion. So that plus sign, and they shouldn't be in my house, that plus sign needs to be contained. So when you're done, you're not done factoring if there's pluses and minuses running loose. So we've got to contain that. So how do we contain that plus sign? What are we going to do? Well, not only does that tell you you're not done, that loose plus sign, but it also tells you how to visualize the problem. That means 1 term, 2, that's the separator, right? This plus sign is the separator, and these are the 2 terms. You should be looking at it that way. What do these 2 terms both have in common? The parenthesis Q plus Z, right? It's kind of messy. Maybe if I cleaned it up a little bit, let me write it more neatly. You can maybe see it a little better. S parenthesis Q plus Z plus F parenthesis Q plus Z. See it now? See how they both have that? In fact, look at that for a second, and let me back up to the last problem. You see how that's just where this one started? We're like at the beginning of the last one now, halfway through. Do you see that? What did we do at this point? Here was the loose horse, right? And we said, oh, they both have a minus 2, put it in the front, remove it, bring down the leftovers, right? All horses contained now, right? That's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to go, oh, look at this. There's the 2 terms. What do they both have in common? Big old parenthesis Q plus Z. Remove it. Start a new set of parentheses. Bring down the leftovers. S plus F. Done. All the pluses contained. We are done. Makes sense on that? It's just putting together the 2 problems into one. So let's run through it from the top again. So 4 terms. Got to do the 2-2 split. First 2 have an S in common. Back 2 have an F in common. Then you get to here, and you go, oh, can't leave it this way, plus sign, you're not done if you got a loose horse. Then you go, oh, Q plus Z in common. Put it in the front, remove it, bring down the S and F. It's all done.
And he said it doesn't matter what order you go in?
It doesn't, yeah, if you switched them and put the S plus F in the front, same thing. Same exact thing, yeah. Yep, that's the same thing.
It just don't follow the, like, order of operation when you're adding, because then we're not putting like 2 to the second power. We're just keeping the symbol the same.
We're not putting to the second power?
Yeah.
Right.
Like Q to the second power.
Right,
Yeah,
yep.
we're just it stays the same, like when we're adding each other.
Oh, are you saying, Rachel, I think I know what you're saying. Are you saying, why don't we go one of these 2 power here? There's 2 of them. Oh, good question. Yeah, everybody see Rachel's question? That's a good question. There's 2 of them. Why don't we do 2 power out here?
Because you're gonna multiply it, right?
Yeah, let me show it this way. What if you had AX plus BX, right? What would you, parentheses, you're going to put something in the front. Well, what's going to go in the front? What do they both have? Just X, not X2, huh? A plus B. So that A would go boom, boom. See how you just take it, you're not adding them up there. Does that make sense? It's the same kind of thing, right? Even though this is X and 1, it's still just 1 here, huh? Because why? Because that 1 could go back to both. That's called distribution, right? Same way this 1, Q plus Z, could go back to S and back to F, and we'd be right back here, huh? So yeah, you don't add the powers there. Exactly right. You're just taking out what's in common. Good? Let's try another. XY minus 7X plus 4Y minus 28. All right. Try that one. So 4 terms, what are you going to do first?
Reverse foiling.
We are reverse foiling. That's really what we're doing. You're right. First 2, last 2, right? First thing is a 2-2 split. 2-2 split. So take out what's in common for the first 2. Take out what's in common for the back 2. Keep that plus sign in the middle, though. So those first 2, what do the first 2 have in common? X. Take it out of the first 2. Good there? Don't forget the plus sign in the middle, really important. Okay, back 2. What do they have in common? 4. Take it out. What does that leave? Y minus 7. See that? Because 4 times Y, 4 times 7, go back to 28. Good so far. How do I know I'm not done? Got the loose horse, got to be corralled. When you're done, all the pluses and minuses are contained. Horses are all corralled, right, when you're done. So I'm not done, and that tells me what to do with it, too. Notice we have the match. We're always going to have this match. See how they match? So now they both have a parenthesis y minus 7, huh? Put that in the front, remove it, put it in the front, start a new set of parentheses. What does that leave? X plus 4. We're done. All the horses are contained. Is that good?
So is that 2-2 split, is that always gonna be the front versus the back, or will it be switched up sometime?
Oh yeah, in this class they'll keep it simple, 2-2. Real life, higher level classes, they can mix it around. You're right. They won't do that to us here. Just first 2, last 2. Just getting us used to this first.
Because I had a hard time seeing that there was something in common in the back.
Yeah, because you don't see the 4 right away, huh? Yeah. Right. You'll get more and more comfortable. Is that okay? How could I check? You don't have to check, not required at all. But if you want to say, is this really right? I mean, what are we really even doing here? It's getting so many symbols. It just looks like a bunch of symbolism everywhere. What is this really? Could I check this? Let me just check it. Not required. Don't even have to write it down if you don't want to. We could FOIL, right? Take that y and multiply, because we're unmultiplying. So let's remultiply and see if it goes back. We should go back to this original, right? Let's see. Y times x. Yx, or I'll put the x in the first, in front, doesn't matter, but usually we go alphabetical order. Xy, y times 4, 4y. Now it's this guy's turn. Minus 7 times x, minus 7x, minus 7 times 4. So there they are, different order, they've switched what the middle two, but doesn't matter, it's the same thing. See how that is right? We have correctly unmultiplied it, haven't we? If it was remultiplied, it would go back to match the original, wouldn't it? So you could grade your own test in this one, right? You could just, if you had time, multiply all 25 or 30 of them out when you're done factoring to make sure you've really factored it correctly. It really goes back.
Especially if you've got one of those nano.
Yeah, you could be sure, huh? That's right. Yes. Is that good?
I'll give them ideas.
Yeah.
No, feel free. All right, so there we go. Okay, so xy plus 8x plus 2y plus 16. So 4 terms, 2 split. Same kind of thing. First two, last, right, with 4 terms, it's 2 split. First two, last two. All right, what do the first two have in common? X. Remove it. What does it leave behind? Y plus 8. Bring down the plus in the middle. Last two, what do they have in common? What does it leave behind? Bless you. Y plus 8. Look at that, we got a match. Ding, 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 match. Y plus 8, Y plus 8. So 2 terms, there's the separator in the middle, that plus sign, right? Remember, that's pluses and minuses outside of parentheses. That's the separator. So you want to really start, as math gets more and more advanced, next 2 classes, things will get ugly. But it'll really help you if you remember, pluses and minuses outside of parentheses are your separators. Well, that's how you want to visualize it. That's how you want to look at it. So looking at it that way, 2 separate terms, what do they both have? Parentheses y plus 8. Remove it. What does that leave behind? X plus 2. All the pluses and minuses are contained. The horses are corralled. We're done. That good? Questions on that one? All's well? All right, so 7x squared minus 14xy minus 8x plus 16y. So 4 terms, do a 2-2 split, first 2, last 2. So first two, last two. What do the first two have in common? What goes in to 7 and 14? 7. And what about letters? Do they both have any letters in common? Take the lower part, right? X2 and X1, take out the X to the 1 on the first two. X to the 1. We good so far? Take 7x to the 1 out of those first two. What does that leave on the inside? 7x to the 1 times x to the 1 and 7x to the 1 times 2 and y. Good. Bring down the minus in the middle. Everybody okay so far? See how that's right? If I was to multiply those, it would return okay? Now, what about the 2 in the back? What goes into 8 and into 16? 8. Is that good? And there's no letter in common on the back two. They don't both have an X or both have a Y on the back two. All right, you ready? Now, that's a minus 8. That's a negative. What's that going to do to the signs on the inside? Change both signs on the inside, right? Negative 8 times what? Well, X. And negative 8 times what goes back to positive 16? Negative 2y. Does everybody see that? Negative times negative goes back to positive 16. Not only that, it makes a match, which we've got to have as well. It's doubly right. Everybody see that to there? That's making sense. Now, why can't we stop here?
Because the loose horse.
The loose horse, right? The minus sign outside of parentheses. You're never done factoring if you've got minuses and pluses outside of parentheses. Got to keep going. So at this point, we have the match, the x minus 2y in parentheses. Start a new set, remove it, bring down the 7x, bring down the minus 8. We're done. There it is. Questions on that one? Is that okay? How many got that one? That was a harder one. How many got that one? Okay, that's good. Looks like 2/3 of you. So questions I can answer on that. There's a lot of little tricks along the way there. Does everybody see that one?
Like, for me, I still want to keep putting the 1 in front of the X when it's in the parentheses. Is in 1 7 times 1.
Say that again?
I'll keep
Oh, right here, like this?
1 is the
Yeah,
X.
that's okay. That's okay.
But when you do it in here, it won't let you. It doesn't want it that way.
Oh, does it say no, thank you? Yeah,
It doesn't want
okay.
it that way.
Right, so in the end, you have to get rid of it. But you can have it like it first. But yeah, when you go to write your final answer, any ones in the front, don't type them in. Yeah. Yeah. But you're right, Rachel. It's the same thing.
So does it matter if you, like, take the Y? Wait, never mind.
Is that okay? Questions I can answer? Everybody okay with all the little signs? A lot of switching around on signs and stuff there. Everything okay? Everybody okay with that? So right here, I took out the negative 8. Change both these signs, huh? Whenever there's a negative number in front of a parenthesis, the things inside are opposite signs from what they used to be. Used to be negative, now it's positive. Used to be positive, now it's negative, right? That all good? Okay. So you're doing well if you're getting that one. That's fairly complex. Okay. Let's try this one. 8, is that an S? I don't like it when they use S's because my S's look like 5s. Try to be careful. 8ST plus 36T minus 10S minus 45. Okay. Try that one. 4 terms, 2 split. First 2, last 2. All right. First two, last two. So what do those first two have in common? Oh yeah, 4, huh? 4 goes into 8 and 36. Good. 4, and they both have a T. Correct.
Are we supposed to do the largest? Doesn't.
Oh, largest power, smaller number in the front. Yeah, it's reverse, huh? Yeah, smaller power. But, yeah, you want the greatest number that'll go into 8 and 36. That'd be 4. All right, so 4 times what? 2 and S. Good so far, right? Because 4 times 2 is 8, ST. Good. So far. Plus 4 times 9 is 36T. Good to there. So far so good. If I was to multiply that 4T, 4T times 2S, 4 times 2 is 8, ST. The order doesn't matter, T in the front, S in the back, whatever. Right, and 4T times 9, 36T. Good? And now for the back T, what goes into 10 and into 45? 5. 5 does, right? And whatever sign's in the middle there, bring it down, minus 5. It's unfortunate when they have 5s and S's in the same problem, because my 5s look like S's. All right. Good to there so far. Now, what's going to go on the inside? Minus 5 times what? We'll go back to minus 10s. 2s. Right? Minus 5 times 2s is minus 10s. Good? And minus 5 times what will be minus 45? Positive 9. Minus 5 times positive 9 makes minus 45, huh? Switched the signs on the inside. And that produces a match with the 2s plus 9, 2s plus 9. It's doubly right. Good. Can't stop here. Got a loose horse. One more step. What do they both have? 2s plus parentheses. 2s plus 9. Put it in the front. Start a new set of parentheses. Bring down the leftovers. 4t minus 5. Done right there. Is that good? Questions on that one? No questions? All is well? Melody, what can I help you with?
Oh, I'm just thinking about the S's on mine. I've just gotten in the habit of doing a little tick mark at the end, kind of like.
Oh, to
you do
distinguish
the
it?
Z, you put a little line through it,
Yeah.
so you know it's a Z.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I was getting so many problems last semester wrong because I thought the S was a 5.
Yeah.
And I thought, just put a little line down at the bottom.
Is that what you put like a little line like that?
Well, when I'm making it, I just go and then down like that.
Gotcha.
Think about that Z.
Like a Z, yeah. Like I put a mark through my Z's. Yeah.
I do that.
Yeah.
And
Right.
when I do a B, I always do uppercase because that always looks like a step.
Yeah. Right.
And that's okay, isn't it? Unless I'm.
No. Yeah.
It's not.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody were looking at it, they'd think that was wrong because you don't do uppercase.
Oh no, it's totally fine. Good idea. Good plan. In fact. Good. All right. 4 termers. Okay, so 6z squared plus 30z minus az minus 5a. Try that one. So first two, last two. So what do the first two have in common? 6 goes into both of them, and they both have a z for just the first two. All right, 6z times what? Z, because the 1 powers will add, plus 6z times what, 5? Be 30z. Good there. Now the back two, bring down the minus. They both have an a, don't they? And what is that going to leave? Can you guess at this point? Do you see the pattern? It's just the match every time, isn't it? Right? So just go ahead and write it in. It's going to be double check if you want. Minus AZ, yeah. Minus 5A, yeah. Of course, they're going to match. When we do the 2-2 thing, they're going to match, aren't they? They're going to match. Okay, we can't stop there. Got a loose horse. So two terms. What do they both have? Parentheses Z plus 5. Remove it. Bring down the leftovers. 6Z minus A. Done. There it is. Questions on that? It's all good. It's getting easier now. Can kind of whip it out. Is that okay? You good? All right. Okay. So we have 20x squared minus 8xy plus 15x minus 6y. Let's try that one. First two, last two. So first two, last two. What goes into 20 and 8? What's the biggest number? 4. And what about the letters? X2, X1, take out X. That's it for that, right? What does that leave on the inside? 4X times 5X and 4X times minus 2Y. That good? So far, so good? All right. Bring down the plus sign in the middle. What goes into 15 and into 6? 3. And then you know what's going to be in these parentheses. They're always a match. So just copy 5x minus 2y. You can double check. 3 times 5x, sure enough, 15. 3 times 2, sure enough, 6. Going to be a match. All right. Can't stop here. Got a loose horse. What do they both have? Parenthesis 5x minus 2y. Remove it. New set of parentheses. Bring down the leftovers. 4x plus 3. Done.
So in the middle there, you're only switching the number, the opposite if it's negative, right?
Yes. Good. Well said. Only if the middle's negative here do these signs switch. Not for positive. Exactly. Other questions on that one? That one good?
I actually have a question about 28.
28.
Yeah,
20. Oh, I skipped 28, didn't I? 28 tricky?
28. Yeah. I thought I had to rearrange it, but I'm looking at it again.
I thought no rearrangement.
No, like the initial equation was given.
Yeah.
I mean, they use different letters,
Right, but probably the same general game plan, yeah. Plus 4FK plus VQ plus 4FQ. Right? Okay, so first two, last two. What do the first two have in common? Just K. Leaves V plus 4F. Bring down the plus in the middle. Back to, what do they both have? Q. What does that leave behind? V plus 4F. No rearrangement needed, yeah. And then they both have V plus 4F. Remove it. New set of parentheses. K plus Q.
Yeah, because I think I moved the VQ over, so it was VK plus VQ,
Right.
and then I factored that, and then if I,
It might work. It might work with
I
rearrangement.
got the same answer. but,
Yeah. Sometimes that works. Don't have to. In this course, no rearrangement needed. Next couple of courses, especially the 103, yeah, sometimes you'll need to rearrange them, but they won't expect that for now. All right, let's